scared you with a horse's head. I win.
You did. You got me.
Me for the win. Although you didn't act scared, more like delighted that I had a horse's head on my head.
Well, what can I say?
Explain.
I mean, you're not a particularly scary person to me. I know, I'm sorry. Well, you delighted me. I was delighted.
Oh, I guess I'll have to take that.
To have you start out and give me such a nice belly laugh, honestly, was actually a great gift.
Well, it wasn't my intention, but I'm glad I did it then.
I know.
Okay. We're going to start out, now that we've backtracked and forward-tracked. We're all about fear. Fear FIFO FUM. It is the core that we have discovered after all of our other quests to find out what makes people tick and talk. I'm with it.
Ooh, you're on a roll.
So basically, we have to go to say, what is fear? What is it? I mean, you think you know. Tell me. What is fear? Tell me now.
Well, I will tell you my definition of fear.
Do it.
Which, you sent me all these great definitions. I'm ignoring them all. So, sorry. The way I look at fear is through two lenses. The first one is physiological or biological, maybe because I suffer from anxiety, which is a very visceral, causes a very flight or fight response. I'm very attuned to how my body reacts to fear, and I feel it physically first often. So what I have learned from my little studying of fear is the origin of fear is a survival mechanism, right? Mm-hmm. Problem is, our brain is very slow. It moves at like the speed of a glacier. It's the opposite of the speed of light. So our brain, to this day, even though we've developed a frontal cortex and all sorts of other things, our brain still functions very much on a, hey, at any minute we could be eaten. It's all about survival at the base. Now, the other lens I look at fear through is the learned or the nurturing lens, which is more problematic in a way because the learning lens often teaches us to misuse fear. So it's this weird balance because you have nature, but then you have us who are very good at manipulating fear for our own ends. So I see fear in those two categories. And then when we're trying to transform fear, we have to look at both of those as tools to use. Was that clear?
Yeah. I mean, it walked, it walked along the path. It went around like the sides of the path, but you stayed close to the path.
That's pretty good for
really,
me.
That's all we can ask. So I don't have necessarily the same kinds of definitions of fear as you do because yours is something that you interact with on a daily, minute-by-minute basis sometimes, and I know this.
Yeah.
So I can't really address it in the same way you do. I can say that I, of course, felt fear. I feel fear now. I don't think I've gone into the realm of anxiety or persistent anxiousness, but I feel fear now in the situation we're in with this pandemic. I have to stop myself from looking on the interwebs at all the stuff. Even if it's good, factual, science-based stuff, I have to stop eventually and make myself stop because it just feeds it. Right now, we're seeing a lot of people in this pandemic reacting with anger when actually it's fear that they're feeling, and it's being misused.
I think this is really important. I mean, the thing about fear that I first of all, we always get a visceral reaction for emotions before we get a thought.
Yeah.
If you study physiology as I have, or neuroscience as I have, there's always some kind of physical sensation before a thought. So one of the keys for us in transforming fear that I like to use and tell other people about is this idea of first you have to learn your body. Mm-hmm. Where do you feel your feelings? What does excitement feel like? What does fear feel like? The body cannot distinguish between real and imagined, mm-hmm. which is a great point to make about fear because as I've learned in my travels, a wise man said to me, fear is false evidence appearing real. Mm-hmm. And it's so easy for us to do that to ourselves.
Oh, yeah. And I think we're seeing it playing out a lot right now. What is the difference between fear and anxiety?
Whoa. Didn't expect that question.
No, I didn't plan to ask it. But until now, you've been actually using the terms pretty interchangeably. And I think, a neuroscientist, practicing neuroscientist, or a psychologist, psychiatrist could probably write something in the thing and, clarify everything for us that we're just sitting here talking like people who think they know stuff. But, I'm wondering, take it apart. Is there a difference between fear and anxiety?
For me, they tend to feel pretty similar. But what I would say is, I think proper fear, I don't know what else to call it. Proper fear is probably very present in the moment and is triggered by something that one would expect. So if I almost get hit by a car crossing the street, which is in Chicago, happens a few times, I feel this rush of chemicals, but I don't know that I feel it in my chest. Like, I'm trying to think of this right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of an all body experience, like, and, but then actually it goes, oh, here's a big difference. Thank you, Christina. I never thought about this before. It goes away pretty fast.
Mm-hmm.
Anxiety, when I have anxiety, it is chronic. It lingers. I never know what's going to trigger it. I won't even know I'm feeling it. For me, often I don't even know I'm feeling truly anxious unless I start getting my symptoms of OCD. Like, all of a sudden I'll want to start, checking that freckle on my body or whatever.
It seems more like we're talking about as a continuum than if you're feeling this, it's fear. If you're feeling that, it's anxiety. Especially right now when so many people are in their houses getting all their information from the highly unreliable and variable interwebs. Fear and anxiety are just sliding back and forth. It's like being on a rocking boat for, I think, a lot of people now. And those who tend to experience anxiety anyway, this is a really hard time. And I know it's really hard for you. It's not that it's not hard for me, but I can redirect myself and put it away into its box. And from what you're saying, sometimes you can't do that.
Yeah, I mean, the phrase I've used, as you know, is for those of us who, for whatever reason, physiologically are prone more to anxiety and depression. Frankly, I think they're related as well with fear. Negative emotions, I don't know what you want to call them. Yeah. It hijacks your brain. If it gets to a certain point, it does hijack your brain, and it can be very difficult to pull out of it. And I think that's another reason I wanted us to come back now, because I have a lot of empathy for a lot of people that are struggling with this. I'm hoping that the aftermath will help us remember that at the end of the day, we really do need the in-person connection. We really are social creatures. Even the cave people like you, once in a while, need a, in-person interaction, need to hug, need to touch, need to, be in someone's energy in close proximity. I'm hoping that we will finally get a better perspective on technology and realize, yes, it's helpful in some ways, but it's also limited.
Yeah.
It can't replace in-person experiences, and it shouldn't. Well, no. Why does it need to?
No, I think there's a lot of positive things about learning our own innate limitations, if you want to call them that. And no matter how tech we get, no matter how close we get to being Star Trek, we still need each other. Are you ready for Rex?
Yes, we will go for Fear 5FFF Rex.
Well, Fear 5FFF Rex, and again, with the caveat that it's nice when they directly talk about fear, but they don't have to. Would you like to start with your Rec, or should I start with mine?
No, I think you're excited to share yours, so you go for it.
I mean, I just like it when I stumble across something that has a lot to it, so that it's not just a one-shot deal. And I discovered this, a while ago, but I never really dug into it until all of a sudden I found myself in my house all the time. TheKidsShouldSeeThis.com, very easy. Now it's a bunch of little videos on so many different topics. Just as immersive for grown-ups as it is for kids. The kids should, and so should you.
How did you find that?
I have my teachery ways.
I have actually 2 recs. that I guess I could call golden oldies. Yes. They've both been around for a long time.
Mhm.
I know that I'm not lost. I know my brain hasn't been hijacked if I can still laugh. That's a big key. And one of my compatriots in this arena is an actor comedian really, named Albert Brooks, who some people know and some people probably don't know. Apparently, though, in 2016, there was the 25th anniversary of one of my very favorite movies on the planet. Christina knows probably what I'm going to say. Defending Your Life. It just looks fear right in the face. The bottom line, I'm not giving anything away because it happens up front, is that Albert Brooks dies and goes to Judgment City. And what happens at Judgment City is you sit in a courtroom-like room, and they judge you based on how well you have transformed and or handled your fear while you were alive. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very, very funny. It has things like Past Lives Pavilion, and it really touches on so much of what we are talking about and probably will continue to talk about. So it's a distraction, but it's also what do I want to say? Encouragement?
Exploration?
Yeah, exploration. It can provoke you in a good way to ask some questions or look at how you handle fear.
Mhm.
Or also, actually, this segues into my next recommendation, kind of how you want to go out. And what I mean by that is there was a great book written in '89 that again is still selling like hotcakes called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Mhm.
It's by a guy named Stephen with a PH Covey, who sadly passed away after an accident. However, one of the habits he has that I try to use when I'm afraid, not anxious, but more fearful of doing something new or something risky. I think it's habit 2. It's called Begin with the End in Mind.
Yeah.
But at the beginning of the habit, he talks about imagining your eulogy. What is someone going to say about you at your funeral? And what do you want to be remembered for? And I think it's a great way to really get your priorities in perspective. So these are my recs for the day, and I will put them in the things for you.
That's very good
And
recs. Those are some very good recs. Excellent. Well, I think we've wrecked them, and we talked at them, and now we're going to let them go forth and sense things and eat cookies and live
go
lives.
forth into
Do the good stuff.
the galaxy.
So until next time, say something now. Yeah, I said something snappy last time. Now it's your turn. End it with a snap. What you got?
I know. Hold on.
Come on.
Oh, this is so trite, but I'll try it.
Do
if
it.
you don't like it, I'll come up with something else.
Okay.
The only thing to fear is fear itself.
Yeah. You know what? An oldie but a goodie. It works. I like that
And
ending.
nothing else. Go eat a cookie.
That's right. Stay healthy and safe.
Yes, and hug yourself. Ooh.
Bye.
Bye.
Like Elvis.
Parting is such sweet sorrow. I hate saying goodbye.
That was my Elvis, and you didn't even say anything.
All right, do it again. Ooh, very nice. I hope you recorded that. Maybe see if you can feel how it feels in your body. Like, where are you feeling it? Is it Christina's rotten egg, slippery feeling?
Raw egg.
Oh, sorry, raw egg. Is it?
You're gross. There's a world of fear to explore.
Yes.